Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. This is the first video in a series I made going over the most common challenges and questions small business owners have when using QuickBooks Online. Now, if you're watching this video and you're doing a reconciliation right now, great. What I'd like you to do is have this video open in another tab, pause it when needed, and go through with me and go over how to do this reconciliation because I'm going to be going step by step on how to do it and some common things you might see and how to resolve that. Now, if you aren't doing a reconciliation right now, you're just watching this video to become better informed or learn more about how to do it in the future when you do need to, that's awesome. You're totally going to learn a lot from watching this, but what I'd like you to do is to save this video and come back to it later when you need to do that reconciliation, pull it up and do the same thing like I just said, right? Go through step by step. Trust me, it's going to be so much easier and you're not going to regret it. So with that being said, it's quite obvious already, today we're going to be covering reconciliations, right? They can be super annoying and frustrating. Even for me, I've done a bunch of them over the years, but they can still be super annoying if you don't know how to do it. And I completely understand why a lot of people, it's one of the most challenging things, but it's also one of the most important things to get right because it can help you catch fraud and errors that could potentially really mess you up later down the line. So before we get started, just to preface this, I'm going to be using QuickBooks sample account just so we can use that for educational purposes. And quick thing, if you haven't already, I'm going to click this top right corner and I'm going to check to make sure you're in business view. Right now I'm in an accountant view, so I'm going to switch to business view. I'm going to be using business view since that's what most business owners use. That gives you guys more information. I prefer accountant view for the work I do on my end, but I know you guys are going to be doing the business view since you guys are the ones actually interpreting the data. And I'm going to keep it in that. So just we're all on the same page. We don't have any differences in what the sidebar looks like or anything. Awesome. Great. Let's get started now. The first step to reconcile, right? It's super simple. We got to go in and we got to double check everything. So if you haven't already, in order to reconcile, you're going to need your bank statement up and right next to you, right? So this is super key because the bank statement is what we need to make sure to actually even perform the reconciliation, right? So if you haven't already, either print it out and have it physically with you. I'm gonna have my imaginary bank statement with me or have it in a separate tab because we're gonna need it to go step by step through the reconciliation. Now, here's what we're gonna wanna look. Here's our reconciliation page, right? What we're looking at right now. So you can see here we have checking, right? Our account that we're gonna be reconciling. Then you can reconcile everything from inventory to credit cards, different types of bank accounts if you have multiple, right? Prepaid expense. There's really a lot of like freedom and leeway with what you can reconcile. Now, going down here, we see our beginning balance, right? So this is going to be if, for example, let's imagine this is your first reconciliation. This is going to be the amount, this is going to be the balance of your credit card bank account when you first connected to QuickBooks, or if you've done reconciliations in QuickBooks before, this is going to be the ending balance on your previous reconciliation, right? So this is important, right? You want to get the beginning balance right. And to do so, what you should do is if you have done reconciliation in the past, then you should double check that one's correct. We're going to assume it's correct for this case. However, if there's an issue with the beginning balance, I'm going to tag a video down below where I'm going to go over how to fix that if the beginning balance isn't matching up to what it was in your bank statement, let's say, versus your previous reconciliation. But you're always going to want to have your previous bank statement from the period when your reconciliation starts up, just so you can check, hey, this beginning balance or the ending balance of my previous period, which should be the beginning balance of our period, is correct. Right? Those two numbers match. And that brings us to our current statement, bank statement, right? The one that's going to have our ending balance, our statement ending balance, right? So QuickBooks very nicely puts it for us. This is going to be the amount in your ending balance from your most recent bank statement, the one you're going to reconcile up to. So if we're reconciling, let's say through February, and our statement begins February 1st and goes through February 28th, it's going to stay right in the bank statement, right? Every bank has it this way, right? Statement ending balance. You just want to type the number in, copy and paste it so you don't make any errors. And then you also want to put the statement ending date. In that case, it'd be February 28th, right? So we can just click here, do that. And let's just say, for example, in our imaginary bank statement, our ending balance is $7,000. Great, so let's click Start Reconciling, and let's get going. So we can see here that we have an interface with a couple like an equation sort of, and a big yellow arrow with an exclamation mark with difference written. Okay, this is important. You want these two to match, right? We want the statement, the beginning balance to the beginning balance versus and compared to the ending balance, we want there to be no difference, right? We don't want there to be a difference between the two. Now, how are we going to do that? So remember how I said we need our bank statement open, right? This is where it gets important. So we have our bank statement or statements if you're doing a longer term reconciliation over a period, and we're going to be looking through them, right? What I like to do is I like to not view it like this. I like to sort it by deposit and payment, right? Because I know it's going to be sorted that way in your bank statement. That might be helpful for you. So we're going to look at our deposits first, right? So basically what you're going to want to do, you want to go down this list of deposits that are recorded in QuickBooks, and look at your bank statement, right? And be like, okay, and the bills Windsor shop. Okay, I see this is my bank statement. Click this button, right? And make sure the amount's correct. That's also important. Because let's say you typed in the wrong amount in QuickBooks, but it's a certain amount in a different amount in your bank statement. You want to fix that. Okay, so we're going on the list. We're making sure that everything's included. Now, what happens if I'm going on the list? I've gone to the end of it, and there's a deposit in my bank that's missing. Well, you're going to want to add that in, and you can do that pretty easily, right? By just going back to your deposits tab and adding that in, either if it was a sale or something else. You can create a sales receipt, or if it was a different just type of direct deposit, you can create that in. So that's something you're going to want to do, and you're going to want to add. That's a common thing that people have happen where they've maybe forgot to, for whatever reason, to add it into QuickBooks. Now, here's another situation. Let's say that we have this sales receipt from Dylan, and it's showing up in QuickBooks, but let's imagine, for the sake of the argument, that Dylan, he paid us on February 27th, and it's currently the 28th, and we're doing our reconciliation. Dylan's payment hasn't cleared the bank yet, right? So on my bank statement, February 28th, Dylan's payment's not going to show up. It's not going to be in there, but it's going to be in QuickBooks. In this case, you're not going to click that check mark button because that would inaccurately record his payment, which hasn't cleared, right? Pretty simple there. That's important. That's another thing where people make some mistakes sometimes, and it can be quite a bit of a headache because then it's going to mess up your balance. So let me show you guys really quickly what it would look like if we have a successful reconciliation. So let me do that. So let me just do this. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when there's a successful reconciliation, just so we can see that and we can have that that view, I guess, of what that looks like. Okay, great. I kind of play the numbers there to make it all balance out. But when you have a successful reconciliation, you're going to see this, a screen check mark, right? And I didn't cover it, but you can also switch the payments and just do the same thing I did, right? Going through the payments. It's similar. It's kind of like the vice versa, right? If a payment hasn't cleared your bank, it might show up here, but it might not have cleared, or you might have missed a payment, right? Same thing. So if a reconciliation is successful, it's going to be a green check mark. You can click, then you're going to want to click the Finish Now button, right? Awesome, super simple. Now it's just going to be like, okay, you reconciled this account, and now you're going to see here, last statement ending date, February 28th, 2025. The beginning balance is now adjusted to what our ending balance was. Now, I'm going to quickly create another reconciliation and go over some common errors and things you might see, just to clarify some stuff. So I'm just going to quickly show you guys what a common error, a really simple one, might look like that a lot of people face. So oftentimes we're reconciling, right? And we'll see a situation like this, right? So we've done everything we can. We've looked through our bank statement, but now we have 9 cents, or like a very small amount of money, maybe like $1 or $3, $2 left, right? So this is an interesting situation. Now, what you might want to do in this case is first, double check, because it might seem like it's just a small error on paper, but it could be something much larger that you just gotten unlucky, and the numbers have like matched up a certain way to where it's like hiding the bigger discrepancy, right? If you know what I mean. But let's say we've done that. We've exhausted all of our detective skills looking through our bank statements. This could mean a couple things. It could mean, one, there's a credit card fee that's not showing up. There's a foreign exchange fee that's not showing up, or some sort of like minor fee that's been recorded in your bank, but maybe not QuickBooks. And you can look and add that in. But if all else fails and you can't find it for whatever reason, here's what you can do. You can do the following. So you can force a reconciliation. Now, I really don't recommend doing this if it's a large amount of money. because that can be a problem later on, especially with the IRS. And if you get audited or something along those lines happens, it would be not be great if you have a large what's called reconciliation adjustment, but I'm gonna show you guys how to do it, right? So if you wanna just close this out and like force reconcile it and have it adjust, right? Create an adjusting entry, you're gonna click finish now. Now, it's gonna show up a warning, right? It's gonna say, hey, it's not 0, but let's just like, okay, we wanna do it anyways. Just click add adjustment and finish. Great, it adjusted it out. Now, what you can see is if we go to our reconciliation report, right, we can go to our reconciliation report. We'll see auto adjustment, right, 9 cents. So you can keep track of all the times you've reconciled through here. You know, this is going to be important, right? So I'm going to get into this right now. Now we cover that kind of common, like minor quick fix error. I'm going to get into some, you know, good reconciliation practices and what not to do after you've reconciled. So remember how I mentioned that there might be errors in your beginning balance? Well, if you delete past transactions from past reconciliations, it can really throw off your beginning balance, and that can cause some errors because it might cause your beginning balance to adjust and change if you delete something from a period that you've already reconciled. Now, the way to check that is you can go to audit log and it will show you all the changes that have been made to your QuickBooks account. So if we go here, we can go to audit log and select deleted voided transactions, right? And this will show us what transactions have been deleted. So in this case, we haven't deleted or voided any, but this is a good thing to check. You know, if you're doing a reconciliation and you may have accidentally or purposefully deleted something, it's gonna throw it off and you're gonna have to redo it and go back to prevent any errors. This is another common thing that I see people have where they deleted something and then the beginning balance is off and then they're freaking out because they can't find out what to do. But the audit log is gonna be super helpful in this situation. Right, so final tips, right? Okay, we did the reconciliation, we went through. Super simple, went over some common issues you might have. Now, my advice for you is try not to delete things from previous reconciliation periods. It's gonna throw things off. Always, 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 if you do have issues, go look through that audit log and try to figure that out first before freaking out. If you have a minor like reconciliation where it's like a couple of dollars or a couple cents, you know, you can't audit it out if you don't wanna go and try to find like that specific transaction. So I know that can be annoying, but always do try to keep really good records, and this will help prevent a lot of the issues where you have a missing transaction, and bank feeds and automations are a really great way to do this. So anyways, thank you for watching the video. I'd really appreciate if you watch the next one or scroll through and just take a quick look if you see any others that are helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.